Oh, there we are. Yeah, no, I did it. Hooray. Hooray me. And
Hooray!
hooray to you. And hooray to
Yay!
anybody in our audience who's joining us. What's up, everybody? Nice to see you.
Hey, everybody.
I'm a little out of practice. I haven't been live lately. So here, I know this part because I said it a trillion times. Hi, everybody out there. Where are you from and how's the weather? Let us know down in the comments. Where are you from and where are you watching? Sarah and I are presenting. We're on Facebook. We are on Scotty the Medium's YouTube channel and the Signal Network channel where your show airs. Hushed Up History. Everybody,
Indeed.
this isn't my show. I'm sorry, I'm being a jerk. This is Sarah. This is her show. It's called Hushed Up History. And she's like, you better hush up or you'll be history. Let's go.
Not at all. So, hi, Scott. How are you?
Very good. Thank you.
Awesome. Good to hear. So,
You can treat me as a hostile witness from here on out.
so the background.
Overruled.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, so what are we talking about tonight? You see the background. Prohibition.
Oh, Prohibition. I thought we were going to talk about
Prohibition.
translucent gangsters.
Translucent Gangsters is very specific. But no, we're going to go a little broader tonight. We're going to talk about some wild stories from Prohibition, which is something that I know that you know a lot about.
I sure do.
Yeah, you sure do. So we're going to talk about some...
I was there.
You were there. So which one of these translucent people are you?
I'm that guy with the mustache in the back watering down the whiskey so I get more.
Excellent.
Hey,
so,
I'm a straight shooter.
Hey. So we're going to talk about some strange, more unusual stories people may have not heard about Prohibition. Prohibition was a very, very odd time in the country. It began in 1920 when the 18th Amendment was brought in to essentially ban any form
Everybody collectively at once in the United States said, boo!
Yeah. No more alcohol.
Will not be allowed anymore to be sold.
Yeah, unless it was for religious or medicinal purposes.
Yes. How many?
Big old loophole there.
How many breweries were given a license to brew alcohol?
A lot of breweries became pharmacies.
Oh, that's so
at that
weird.
point. Yeah. And you know that you could buy bricks of dried grape, which, you know, came with very specific instructions on how not to make a mistake to turn it into wine, because you didn't want to do that.
Do not put this in your toilet with yeast
your bathtub
for 12 to 16 hours, because that will ferment it and it will make it illegal.
You definitely don't want to do this with this. We're just giving it to you. And we're telling you how not to. Whatever you do, that's on you from now on. But yeah, Prohibition.
Kathy Davis says her great-great-aunt ran a speakeasy and made bathtub gin.
That's fabulous. Where was it?
All right. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead. I had
No, you're good.
What's up, everybody?
Prohibition, crazy period of time in U.S. history. Alcohol essentially banned except for some loopholes. And, you know, when you take something that is such a huge part of people's lives and you just go, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Obviously, there was a good number of people that went, that's great that you think we're not going to do this anymore, but we definitely are. Thank you. And there was a lot of, you know, weird things that came out about how people would go about getting alcohol, how they would make it. A lot of crazy stories. This is just a small little fraction of the wild stories that you can find about Prohibition. But before we get into that, Scott, I have some questions for you.
All right.
First question I have for you, or anybody in the comments. The Prohibition Party had a mascot, and it was an animal. Do you know what that animal was and why that animal was chosen?
A Prohibition... Oh, I didn't see this anywhere in any of my research.
And when I tell you what the animal is, you're going to go, oh, somebody was thinking. Somebody was clever.
I don't know. I want to say a mouse, but it's probably not.
It was a camel
A camel?
for not drinking.
Oh, I would have never thought about that.
See, somebody up there was like,
Somebody's
yeah,
like,
get it? Camel? Yep.
you can
Camel
store
was for the
water in your
Prohibition party.
humps.
You can store water for medicinal purposes or religious purposes.
Yeah.
But
Get out of here with your camel.
but there was,
I'm just kidding. I love camels. I just want everybody to know that right now. Look at me.
camels are great.
Camels are all right by me. I petted a couple while I was in the desert.
Wow.
They're huge.
Yeah, they're massive.
They're huge.
I think it was it our first live that we told the story about the camel?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Camels are
That camel was probably drunk. All right, moving on.
I mean, maybe. We'll never know. We'll never know. But part of the reason, that people were so for prohibition, these people that were so very much in favor of banning alcohol, they claimed that it was just in general going to just make life better, that alcohol was this source of all the horrible things in life, and they were looking to improve everybody's well-being and remove things like alcoholism and abuse and things like that. But they also had some pretty wild claims as to what alcohol did and what alcohol was made of. And some of them, there were some anti-alcohol groups that claimed that you shouldn't drink wine because it was made of cockroaches.
Is that true?
No, not one bit. But this is what they said. You shouldn't drink wine.
First, everyone, you heard it here first. Wine is not made of cockroaches.
Is not made of cockroaches. The
Who
more
knew?
you know.
Who knew?
They also believed that if you drank enough alcohol, it would turn your blood to water, and that was bad because it would kill you. So that's another reason why you shouldn't be drinking alcohol. It's going to turn your blood to water.
Fact.
that one's true. No, it's not.
We're doctors. You have to believe us.
Another was that they believed that, or they claimed that drinking enough alcohol would make your liver grow to be 25 pounds. Specifically, 25 pounds.
Exactly 25 pounds?
25 pounds.
All right, everybody. I know how to lose 25 pounds.
Just
I'm going to get rid of my
liver. Get rid of your liver. Liver. So wine is made of cockroaches, according to some of these people. Your blood will turn to water. Your liver will grow to 25 pounds. But also...
What else?
It will make your brain catch on fire.
Everybody knows that is actual fact.
This was stated by a man named George McClandish, who claims that he saw a dead man's brain burst into flame after he tested it for alcohol with a lit match. And this is how he determined that, well, alcohol makes your brain go on fire. And that's another reason why we shouldn't be drinking it.
Hey, I found this guy over here. He's dead. You want to light his brain on fire? Yes. I thought you might. Come on. Let's go. Everybody
that sounds like a sound plan.
Come on. Welcome to Jackass. I wonder when they...
Oh my God, right?
In the early 1900s they were doing this?
Yeah.
You would think... It's so hard to think because I'm doing so much research on this. They're so savage. Just like 100 years ago, these are like savage men with no science. Just 100 years ago. Could you imagine?
You think, you hear these things and you see the pictures and you think this was millions of... No, this was a blink of an eye in terms of American history.
65 years before I was born. It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, wild. Everybody out there. You know what? Let's move. Go ahead. Keep going. The brain on fire thing. I was going to talk about just having a hangover, which is just usual, but then I just had that visual of this guy being like, let's see. I wonder if the brain can go on fire. We'll find out.
Yes, the brain is going to burn.
I assume.
Doesn't mean it's the alcohol, but
true.
Sure. One of the many things that people who are highly in favor of prohibition like to tell people as to this is why you should not be partaking.
My goodness.
In that. Now, you talked about your research that you're doing. And I know
Yeah.
you're doing lots of Prohibition research.
Yeah.
And you told me one of my favorite things that I had never heard before. So I'm going to ask you to tell the tale of the blind tiger.
All right, folks.
I love this. And you don't know how hard I tried to find a tiger that I could put a little blindfold on for the background. I couldn't do it, but go ahead.
There's special clubs for that, Sarah. But in past times, it was different. So what I found out in my research is that if there were, I don't know where it stops or where, like, how much of this is a legend. So let's just put it that way. Let me put that disclaimer. But I did find many times it mentioned that there were places called blind tiger clubs. And basically what would happen is if you were a criminal enterprise and you needed a place to do business, if you owned a business or a home that had enough space to gather with you and your little cohorts, you would take a stuffed tiger and put it out in the window. And the reason they chose a tiger is because it was such a, I guess, like a tough animal, they said. And if you were going to go into an establishment with the tiger in the window, you knew it was going to be a rough place. So basically what happened is that if the tiger was in the window, the other bad guys would know, like, oh, that's a good place to go and hang out because there's more criminals there, right? But then when you'd walk by and the blindfold was on the tiger, that meant that you and your friends could go into the establishment and just know that there's no law enforcement whatsoever watching, because they would monitor that kind of thing. So blind tiger clubs became a thing.
I love it. I love the story of the blind tiger. And that they put the tiger in there because that was a tough animal, a tiger. Yeah. Roar. It's like, oh, you don't want like the blind butterfly club or the blind puppy clubs. You had blind tiger.
This isn't the lily club or the capybara club.
Oh, capybaras.
Yeah. Right. That's why it's not a capybara club.
That's exactly why, because somebody goes, oh, capybaras.
Tiger with claws.
What about a fish?
A fish?
Yeah.
Like a
Because that's right. I have a Prohibition story that involves a fish.
Holy mackerel.
Carp.
Carpe diem?
There we go. See? See? There.
I got you.
So I did send you the newspaper clipping that I found talking about this story. And this story comes out of Minnesota in the spring of 1921. There was a sportsman that was fishing, and he claimed that he was attacked by a fish. Sure, they didn't get into how he was attacked by a fish. I tried to find out, but no details on that. He was attacked by a fish, and he thought that the fish, it was a little weird how the fish was acting, and he thought this had to be investigated. So he brought the fish, a carp, over to a judge in a municipal court.
Yeah.
And they cut the fish open. And when they found inside the fish was that its stomach was full of what appeared to be mash that was typically used at the time for distilling alcohol. Then they looked at the fish's eyes.
You were going to say Alan Alda was in there. I was going to say that's wrong. He couldn't fit.
He couldn't fit.
Radar? Are you in there?
So the fish was full of corn mash, and then they noticed that the fish's eyes were bloodshot. And they're like, this fish is drunk. And there's only one way that this fish would have this happen, and that means there is someone making alcohol in the woods around this area. So they investigated, and initially they didn't find anything. There was a couple months later, they were still looking around for corn or any indication that there was something, this operation going on in the woods. And then there was a local man who reported that corn was missing. And they were able to put these two things together to kind of locate where they thought this operation was going. Okay. And they went and they found that there were people producing alcohol in this location in the woods. And this newspaper article, in August 1st, 1921 says, quote, had the carp up at Wood Fords on the Blue Earth River not acted as foolishly as their human superiors do when they get too much booze abroad, Perhaps the 150 gallons of mash captured at the ford would today be brewing, and the mists rising from the same and rapidly turning it into Mountain Dew in one of the most secluded spots of Blue Earth country, instead of moistening the parched earth. So they credited finding this drunk carp with being able to locate where these people were manufacturing alcohol in the woods.
It sounds like there was like a half a mountain full of people angry at the fish. Now,
At a
look,
fish.
folks, I like to party just as much as the next person, but I've never blamed my sobriety on a fish. All right, where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, you need to find that way. You be like the salmon. You swim upstream to get your mash. And I
Your
like
mash.
I like that they called it Mountain Dew.
Yeah, exactly. Spelled the same way as the soda today, and yeah,
so delicious.
So
I'm parched. I could go for some Mountain Dew right now.
Some Mountain Dew. What are you drinking? If anything,
right at the moment.
Yeah.
Gatorade.
Did you bring a beverage for the beverage show?
I did. Gatorade. Though.
Yeah.
I'm boring.
I have tea.
I'm old. Can't be partying. It's Thursday. It's not even close to Saturday. And don't get me started. I have things to do. Gosh, I can't just go out drinking a beer or two whenever I want anymore. Gosh, I'm over 40.
Drinking like a carp in a river in Minnesota. And that newspaper article that you put up before talking about this incident, it happened in Minnesota. That newspaper article came from a newspaper from Auckland, New Zealand.
So they heard, listen, folks, if you're watching this right now, I want you to understand something. This is in the early 1900s. New Zealand is this big, no offense to anybody in New Zealand, is like this big on the planet. And this made it from the United States to that place without the internet. No email, no text messages, no, hey, mate, I was just happened upon a drunk.
Did you hear about the fish?
Yeah.
The drunk fish.
This is a newspaper article. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
The carp were drinking and they were exposing secrets. It's the carp army. You got to watch out for them. And there's the
carp was exposing secrets.
This is one of the best things about having Sarah do her thing, because she is indeed a historian and she brings us the actual clippings of newspapers.
This is best. I tried to find more stories about this specific thing happening, but this was the story that I found. And when I found it was from Auckland, New Zealand.
Auckland.
Sure. They were reading about our madness over in Auckland.
Auckland.
But another kind of animal themed thing going on. We had just talked about how the fish is what gave away this alcohol manufacturing operation in the woods. Sometimes people who were doing this in the woods weren't found because people that were looking for them were thrown off by the lack of footprints. But when I say lack of footprints, it's a lack of human footprints. This is something that you may have seen a graphic of floating around on the internet. People that were manufacturing alcohol in the woods, they needed to hide their tracks. You couldn't have your footprints in the dirt or in the mud because it would be easily found. People would, follow the tracks and there you are. So they would carve things to put on the bottom of their shoes, or they would carve shoes themselves to resemble cow tracks.
Yes.
Cow shoes.
You sent me a picture of this, and
I did.
I can show all of you a pair of cow shoes. Now listen.
Cow shoes.
These aren't Louis Vuitton or what's another good shoe?
Listen, they did what they had to do.
These are
cow shoes.
Cow shoes.
So you would wear these and you would walk through the mud and through the dirt of all of these remote areas. And if people had an inkling that there was something going on and they went to investigate, they would just see a bunch of cow prints and be like, well, there's no humans here, so guess we should go.
Yo. All right, ladies out in the audience. It's your birthday. Your husband, your spouse, your significant other, they're stoked. They're like, birthday's coming. I got you the perfect gift, and you are never going to guess.
You're never going to guess.
Is that I cannot wait to see you modeling in what I got you for your birthday for our trip to Disney. Okay, you are going to, you're going to love. This box opens on your birthday, and you got yourself a genuine pair of cow hoof shoes. We staying married or we getting divorced? Let me know down in the comments. This is very important to me.
You think they were comfortable? They couldn't have been comfortable.
There's no way they were comfortable.
No way they were comfortable.
The people who were wearing those were dedicated to getting drunk, and they probably had to be pretty intoxicated just to wear those for their feet.
And you know, these cow shoes, just like the fish story, it made the news. All of these weird little things that were coming out about people manufacturing alcohol and finding alcohol, this all was being reported. And I don't know if it could have been a little bit of both. It could have been just shock value of look at what these people are doing, but it also could have been, look, these are the things that you have to look for. This is what's happening. And this was reported in 1922. There was an article in St. Petersburg, Florida, and it was entitled "Shiners Wear Cow Shoes." A new method of evading prohibition agents was revealed here today by A.L. Allen, State Prohibition Enforcement Director, who displayed what he called a cow shoe as the latest thing in front of the haunts of moonshiners. A cow shoe is a strip of metal to which is tacked a wooden block carved to resemble the hoof of a cow, which may be strapped to the human foot. A shoe found was picked up near Port Tampa, where a still was located some time ago. It will be sent to the Prohibition Department at Washington. Officers believe that this inventor got his idea from a Sherlock Holmes story in which the villain showed his horse with shoes with the imprint to resemble those of a cow hoof.
Wow.
So we got the moonshiners going worked for Sherlock Holmes. We're going to do it too.
See? People in the hills read, Sarah. I told you. You always tell me those hillbillies, they don't read, Scott. You're crazy. And I say, Sarah, you're nuts. That's not true. They definitely read.
That has never happened.
That was entirely not made up.
That was entirely false. Oh my god.
Oh.
So yeah.
You know what? Hi, Joanne. They had that very subject on the Andy Griffith show. I guess the
there we go.
Was a big hit. The
cow shoes. Everybody loved the cow shoes.
Yeah, thankfully they weren't drunk and used the real cow hoof. Oh yeah, that would have been disastrous.
That would have been bad.
Yeah, that's not. I didn't think at all that's what was going on.
No, although they did use pigs sometimes, but we're not going to get into that.
No, let's not talk about that.
No, we're not going to do that. But the cow hoofs apparently took off. Now it's in media. It came from a book, but what didn't take off was torpedoes for the purpose of moving alcohol. Have you ever heard of this, Scott?
No, but I have something interesting to tell you when after you tell us this story. Don't let me forget. It's funny.
Okay. So there were instances, this particular one that I found was in Detroit with the Detroit River. And people were looking for a way to smuggle alcohol from Canada across the Detroit River. So we talked about how people would make these very creative things and these very creative ways to try to bring alcohol in. And one of them was torpedoes. They would find they were approximately 10 feet long. They were these 10-foot long steel cylinders, and they would pack them full of alcohol. And they created a cable system that they would attach to the torpedo in Canada, and it would go under the water and it would be dragged across the river and resurface in Detroit.
This is genius.
And there wasn't just torpedoes. The torpedoes were very, very discreet. I mean, how could you see it? It was under the water being dragged by these cables. People also created these sort of submarines where it was essentially just this kind of metal tube. And again, you would pack it full of alcohol, and there was just this little spot that somebody could sit in, and you were just above the water to transport this alcohol across the river. So, I mean, these.
Uh-oh. I lost you. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, okay, I hear you now.
Oh, hey.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there, but But yeah, so I mean, you see these instances, these people creating cow shoes and torpedoes and these little man-made submarines that they would use. And there is still one of these submarine boats in existence. You can go see it in Virginia. They have it on display.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
what's interesting. Right here, where I'm doing all my research for the Violent Coast, okay, so if you go into Atlantic Highlands in New Jersey and you walk down near the water, I don't know if it's there right now, but during the summertime, they have a wooden submarine displayed at the park, and it has like a date on it and this guy's name, and he is credited as being the like godfather of modern submarines. And what you just said about them doing torpedoes and submarining, I have to go back and find out what the dates are for him, because that is really interesting that there was all that bootlegging happening right there on the Bay of Manhattan in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And the godfather of modern day submarines happens to live here also.
Yeah.
Oh, and a side note, just in case anybody's wondering, a lot of cool stuff came out of this very little tiny area of New Jersey. Also, the guy who patented and invented the modern day gas pump lived in Atlantic Highlands. He was murdered.
Is that why New Jersey isn't allowed to pump their own gas?
Maybe in his honor. We're
Some
gonna have
sort
to
of-
do it. We'll have to
some
do
sort
some
of
more
tribute?
research. We're gonna have to start do more research into this guy. I'm gonna give her the information because you guys are gonna want to hear this story. Basically, this guy was like a genius, and he had multiple patents open that he was trying to close for inventions. One of them being the gas nozzle, and then he had a couple others. But while he was trying to get the patents closed, he was murdered, and his entire estate went to his family, and they think his brother-in-law had something to do with it. It's a really crazy story, and I think you'd be perfect to put on the case and see what we can dig up.
Yeah, I would love to look into that. That's
Okay.
wild.
Back to Prohibition.
Prohibition. So
Prohibition.
all these crazy ways that people were trying to keep alcohol in their lives, with bricks of grapes that you definitely shouldn't use to make wine, and cow shoes, and submarines, and torpedoes, and, you know, in places in the woods that you would then get ratted out by a fish. Things like this. There were also people being just as creative on the end, or the side, I should say, of preventing people from drinking alcohol. Are you familiar with the story of Izzy and Mo?
I'm not.
Okay, so
Are they more of the Three Stooges?
no, but there was a film made about them.
Okay, let's go.
So Izzy and Mo. Isidore Einstein was a 40-year-old pushcart peddler and a postal clerk living in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And he decided that he was going to take a job as an enforcement agent. And when he went to go apply for this job, the chief agent took one look at Izzy and was like, this is not the job for you. You are 5'5". You are absolutely the total opposite of the kind of person we are looking for this enforcer job. And Izzy said, no, listen, that's exactly why I'm perfect for this job. Yeah. No one is going to suspect me. I know people. I know how to talk to people. I know how to interact with people. I'm the perfect guy for this job. And the chief thought about it, and he took these attributes into he thought about this, but then Izzy was like, oh, and by the way, I also speak 6 languages. Oh. Okay, fine. We'll try this for the job.
Marty Pants.
Izzy turned out to be one of the 2 most prolific enforcers in New York in Prohibition. So one of his first assignments, and this will tell you the guy Izzy was, he went into a Manhattan speakeasy and he had his badge. He walked right in wearing the badge, went up to the bartender and said, would you like agent? And the bartender laughed. That's funny. That's a good badge. It looks really real. Where'd you get it from? And Izzy goes, I'll bring you to where I got it made, and arrested him. Things like this. This is the kind of guy that Izzy was. He came up with these very creative ways to just go in and pursue the speakeasies, anybody that was manufacturing these. And eventually, he asked if his friend Mo Smith, could join him. He was the owner of a cigar store, and his main qualification that Izzy gave to his superiors was he doesn't look like an agent either. He'll be fine. They see how well it's working out for Izzy. Sure. Bring your buddy Mo along. We'll see what happens here. And these two, Izzy and Mo, their main thing turned out to be disguises. They would come up with these elaborate disguises and these elaborate plots to break into these bars, get into these speakeasies completely effortlessly, and start busting up these rings of alcohol production. Just some of the costumes that they wore: gravediggers, farmers, statues, football players, potato peddlers, opera goers, cowboys, judges, old Italian grandmas, violinists was another one. At one point, Izzy, while wearing a violin tuxedo, went into a Manhattan speakeasy, sat down and asked the waiter for some real stuff. The waiter was like, "Oh, this guy's a musician. He's well known. I've definitely seen this guy perform." So he went to go give him the alcohol and said, "Glad to see you. I enjoy your music." And asked, "Hey, can you play anything by Strauss for the room?" Izzy, with the alcohol in hand, now said, "How about I play you the Revenue Agent's March instead?"
Oh.
Arrested the guy right then and there.
This guy was a jerk.
he was Izzy. These guys were amazing.
Wow.
One of his favorite arrests, I just talked about all these disguises that they wore. Izzy himself walked into a saloon in Brooklyn completely and totally not in disguise. And he saw a picture of himself on the wall. Like, watch out for this guy. This guy's this guy's trouble. He stood under the picture and just waited for somebody to call him out, for something to happen. Finally, somebody recognized him, and that's when he pulled out a search warrant and was like, "It took you guys long enough."
Wow. That guy has some guts. I don't know.
It's amazing.
That's real brave, especially for a guy who's 5'5".
I mean, Izzy, these guys at this point in New York City, their illegal liquor trade was one of the largest in the country. It estimated 32,000 speakeasies were operating. Yeah. And I mean, these guys from 1920 to 1925, Izzy and Mo confiscated approximately 5 million bottles of liquor, arrested 4,932 people, and had a conviction rate of 95%. They never took any bribes. Izzy never carried a gun. He believed in the law, and he and his friend Mo would just go into these establishments, and just at one point they were averaging about 100 arrests a week.
Holy cow. How do you even listen, folks? You all know what I do for a living. It'd take me 8 hours to arrest one human for throwing gum in the road. Can't imagine doing 100 people in a week. That's insane.
Yeah.
So
Izzy and Mo.
You want to hear an interesting connection forward from there? So Izzy and Mo wore these disguises. So if you folks don't know what I do for a living, also in law enforcement, and my one of my very good friends, his is also a law enforcement officer. His grandfather is this guy named I call him Mr. Toma, but back in the 70s, or probably like the 60s, 70s, he was a police officer, and he was the first person to go undercover and wear disguises like Mo and
Izzy and Mo.
Izzy there, yeah. So I'm gonna have to go and tell my friend, your grandfather, maybe he knew Izzy and
inspiration.
The other guy.
Yeah. So
funny?
Did the grandfather use props?
Yeah, they made a TV show about him called Toma, and it's about him and his crazy props and his costumes to go get his guy.
Because Izzy, his favorite prop was to walk into an establishment with a jar or a barrel of pickles, because his explanation was, whoever thinks that I'm a thing of pickles, because his explanation was, no one is going to suspect a guy carrying a jar of pickles as an agent. That was it. That was his explanation.
That's crazy.
I love it.
You guys seen any alcohol in here? What was that? What was that show, everybody? It was very politically incorrect. In Living Color, the one character would carry around like a jar with one pickle in it, and it said "out of order" because it was like his bathroom. That's really off topic, but that's what I thought of when you were talking about the jar of pickles. Anyways,
that jar of pickles got him hundreds and hundreds of arrests.
do you think that if I start walking around with a jar of pickles, I could just randomly arrest American people? I'll be like, look, I got pickles. We're handing.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
That's the joke. I'm like, it's a big jar of pickles, and I walk around. I'm like, you want a pickle? And as soon as they stick their hand in there, they're trapped, and now you're mine for the day,
see?
Not forever, just for a little while.
Hey,
I need company sometimes when I'm walking through the dollar store, or like when I want an opinion if like that cloud looks like George Washington. I don't know. I need an adult.
Jar of pickles. Never carried a gun, but he had his jar of pickles.
He has jar of pickles. Stephanie Bond says, must be a Gatorade night. I'm drinking the same kind of Scott. I feel special. Steph, drinking at the same time, so it's like we're drinking the same, we're having the same experience.
The same experience. Ooh.
We're not sponsored, but we should be.
I don't have Gatorade. I have tea. Because I always have tea. So, but Izzy and Mo.
So you.
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to tell you about how the careers of Izzy and Mo ended. Essentially, they were told they were getting too much attention and they were getting too famous. So in November of 1925, Izzy and Mo were among the 35 agents that were dropped from the force. Izzy went on to write a book, and the two of them went on to become successful insurance agents for the rest of their days.
Wow. No, Prohibition wasn't even close to being over yet either.
No, they literally were like, you are doing too much.
And, no, I was just going to say,
and we don't like the attention.
I'm learning a lot about law enforcement back in the day. I'm getting an idea why some of us have a bad name. Sometimes these guys didn't make that much money, and maybe like once in a while somebody put a little extra $20 or something in their pocket, and then they didn't see nothing. I don't know. You can't. But I am running into a lot of like, no, he stood there and smoked a cigarette while these guys were shooting at each other in the middle of the street with civilians everywhere, and you're like, oh, maybe he shouldn't have been doing that job. I don't know. Yeah, I'm finding a lot of interesting stuff here in the Prohibition world.
Wow.
Let's see. Too much paperwork. Yeah, you're not kidding, Karen. This is what's the problem in the world today. So you sent me, because I'm real interested in, you sent me a lot of pictures of like dresses or something. I'm going to show everybody, I'm going to show some pictures. Why don't you tell me about the dresses here?
So these are women in Prohibition. Dresses. Yeah.
And
so women in Prohibition. This
is what you all look like before you go on a cruise. I know who you are. This is illegal, and you will be found. Looking me in the face right now. If I catch you smuggling onto the cruise lines, Carnival, looking at you.
Carnival.
Yeah, Carnival. This is what you look like going on your Carnival cruise. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're so. Women in Prohibition is a huge subject. We could have a whole separate live just talking about women in Prohibition. But part of the reason that you saw dresses like this, and I think I sent you a couple more, women were huge into bootlegging. They were very, very important to bootleggers because no one suspected them. It was, they're not doing that. And then there were also states where women were not allowed to be searched. Even if it was like, oh, she's definitely smuggling, you couldn't search them. So women came up with a lot of these different clothing pieces and all these like different apparatus to wear under their clothes to smuggle liquor. And these are just a couple of examples of things like look at that.
Here in New Jersey, the law was if a woman was caught with alcohol, in any context, like if she was transporting it, drinking it, selling it, whatever, she couldn't be prosecuted under the law. And so basically what would happen was the men, the bootleggers, would send their wives out to run errands and have them do all the liquor transport, because for a long time that the ladies couldn't get in trouble for it. So that's why this woman has quite possibly the most luxurious and beautiful dress I've ever seen. A giant flask attached to her side. That couldn't be at all uncomfortable.
No, not at all.
She's like,
but even if they knew that she had this on her.
This is what you all look like trying to get your Capri Suns into the movie theaters, okay? I know the drinks are expensive. The popcorn's expensive. It's all expensive, I know. But spend a couple extra bucks. Don't do this. Because I see you in your giant Capri Suns. I see all of you in your Stanley Cups. You're not tricking anyone. You can hear the ice rattling in your pocket.
Listen, it's tradition, okay? Carrying on a tradition. Carry the bucket of Capri Sun and the jar of pickles, and you're just doing a tribute to Prohibition.
Tracy's she's rocking it. She says, "Baby on one hip and a
giant flask into the other."
You know this from experience. You know what? Don't answer that. You don't have to. We respect the game. All right, and the player. So that's really funny. So women had such a huge role in bootlegging. Do you have any good I want to hear, because I know we have somebody who is against it, and we'll get to that at the end. We'll end
do we ever?
But are there any heroes of are there any women heroines of prohibitions? Anybody any famous ones?
There are. I didn't get to dig into them too much for this episode, and that's why I'm saying we could do a whole other episode on just that. There were women that were very, very high profile in their state or countrywide. They were called the Queen of Bootleggers, and they were very highly regarded because they led so much to the success of people's bootlegging.
You know what?
What?
I don't know if I like the word bootleg right now. What's up with that? What's up with the word boot and leg at the same time?
What?
Where did that come from?
I can find out for you.
That'd be great. You know what?
Okay.
Hold on. I have this thing. This is a magic portal device.
Oh.
It tells me everything I need to know.
Oh, a little information machine.
Listen, everybody. I don't have. If you watch Joe Rogan, I don't have a guy in the corner to do this for me, so I got to do it myself. All right, and I don't expect all of you to jump on at once and do it. Okay, so you ready? Where did the term bootlegging come from? This is something I should know, right? Because I'm doing a whole series on this. The term bootlegging originally came from the way people illegally hid alcohol during the 1800s. Okay. The original meaning, late 1800s, American West, people who sold alcohol legally would hide small flasks inside their tall boots, specifically in the leg of the boot, called the bootleg. There it is.
You couldn't fit that one flask in a boot.
Yo, she this is a whole other thing, this lady.
Yeah.
I'll put her right back up there. So she's not bootlegging, she's rib caging or something here.
Rib caging.
Rib caging.
Oh my God.
Iron lunging it.
We could, like I said, we could totally do a whole other thing on just these prolific and extremely important women that were involved in Prohibition. It's fascinating.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Good job, ladies. Thanks for helping us all get drunk at a time when America didn't want us to. Except
for the one that we're going to talk about next.
All right. Now, before everybody starts saying boo, I'm going to let you judge this lady on her looks alone and tell me, it's kind of mean, but it is what it is, because this fits the bill. All right.
Everyone, meet Carrie Nation. And yes, that is her name.
AKA the fun police. There ain't no drinking around here, police.
So Carrie,
you better have a skirt that goes all the way to the ground. And I can't believe your forehead's showing.
So Carrie was born in November of 1846 in rural Kentucky. She was the eldest child in her family.
She was 22 in this photograph.
And
like a day over 21.
And she moved around a lot with her family. Her father was a landowner, he was a farmer, and they moved to multiple different states. But in one of these states, in Missouri, they took on a boarder, and it was a Union Army doctor named Charles Gloyd. And Carrie and Charles bonded over their experiences during the Civil War. Charles was a soldier. Carrie, during the Civil War, was a nurse. So they got to communicating about their Civil War experiences, and they ended up getting married in 1867. But Charles Gloyd showed up to the wedding completely drunk. And this was something Carrie somewhat expected, but was hoping not to happen, because Charles had a very severe alcohol problem from the day that they met. So he showed up at the wedding drunk
so much.
She eventually had enough, moved back in with her parents in 1868, and by this time, Carrie had already had a very, very strong opinion of alcohol and how it would destroy people. Charles Gloyd ended up dying because of the effects of alcohol prevented him from being able to fight off pneumonia. So Carrie, again, these incidences in her life that just reinforced more and more why she believed that alcohol was evil. She moved around, just like her parents, she moved around to several different states. She worked as a school teacher, but the school ended up firing her because of her fiery personality. But we'll get more into that in a little bit. She remarried. She helped run a hotel. She was very, very successful. And she got very, very heavily involved in charity work. She visited prisons. She arranged sewing circles to sew clothes for the needy. She cooked holiday meals. She was a very charitable person. She could not get this thing out of her head about the evils of alcohol. She could not get out of her head this force that ruined
people having fun.
Everyone. Now, she was also very religious, and she believed that God started to speak to her in her dreams, and that her purpose in life was to fight alcoholism. This all happened. She had some good timing, because this was all unfolding around the same time that the temperance movement started to come into play. By the 1860s, the temperance movement had become this extremely vibrant force. It was all over the nation that looked to severely limit or completely remove the consumption of alcohol.
Sure.
This came into play with the formation of the Women's Christian Temperance Union, which was founded in Cleveland, Ohio, and Carrie was very, very active in her local chapter of the Temperance Union. And they had some methods that they believed were effective in getting people to stop drinking. But their methods were things like preaching, lecturing, singing outside of bars and saloons and places that were serving alcohol.
That make you want to drink.
And Carrie did not agree with this. She said, this is not severe enough. This is not strong enough. We are not putting our foot down firm enough. And God is telling me in my dreams that this is my purpose. And I'm not just going to stand here and sing to people while they're walking into a bar. There's other ways for me to do this. So, June of 1900, she began to pray and ask, please, God, tell me what I should do. The singing is not for me. The singing isn't going to work.
Make this place worse.
Me standing outside of a building and just telling people, hey, you shouldn't do that. That's not working for me. So tell me what I should be doing. And this is what she claims. She claims, quote, the next morning I was awakened by a voice which seemed to me speaking in my heart. These words said, and I might mispronounce this, so I apologize if I do, go to Kiowa, a town in Kansas. And my hands were lifted and thrown down with the words, I'll stand by you. The words were spoken in a murmuring, musical tone, low and soft, but I'll stand by you was very clear, positive, and empathetic. I was impressed with a great inspiration. The interpretation was very plain, and it was this: take something in your hands and throw at these places and smash them. Carrie went to Kansas. following this advice from her dreams. And this time she was armed with rocks. The singing wasn't working. The telling people, hey, don't do that wasn't working. So she arrived at a place called Dobson's Saloon. And she walked in. Now, Carrie, as you saw in the picture, she was very imposing. She stood at 6 feet tall. When she walked into a room, you know she walked into a room. So she walked into Dobson's Saloon and she announced, quote, "Men, I have come to save you from a drunkard's fate." And she started hurling these rocks all over the bar, breaking everything that she possibly could. No person was harmed. She wasn't there to hurt anybody, and she made it a point not to hurt anybody. But if it was glass and if it carried alcohol, it was not coming out of this visit from Carrie unscathed. So this was her mission now. For 2 years, she went through Kansas and she brought turmoil with her wherever she went. She went into every establishment she possibly could with these rocks, but she expanded her arsenal. She started bringing bricks. She got a wooden cane. She bought an iron rod at some point. But then
she's mean.
This was for the good of people.
All right, tell everybody what the symbol is. Get to it, please.
She found her weapon, and her weapon to fight alcoholism was an axe.
An axe.
Now,
this is cool. All right. So everybody who's watching this, at some point, if you care, in the next 24 hours, I'm going to put up on my Facebook or my Instagram pictures of some of her axes and some of the the merchandise, because she was a big merchandiser is what I found out.
Yes.
So I went to the Prohibition Museum in Savannah, Georgia, and that's where I learned about this lady in the first place. So I have some cool pictures and probably some video from inside there. But anyway, it was really cool because they have all these axes and tomahawks and all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
And all right, go on. I want to tell everybody that. But what she did with the axes, though.
She would go into these bars, and whereas she was using the rocks and the bricks, she felt that no, this was it. This is what's going to do it. And she would go into these establishments and just break everything she could with these axes. And she would go in, and sometimes she would announce herself with something like, there was one here on a particular visit, December 26, 1990. She stormed into a bar and just announced at the top of her lungs, "Peace on earth and goodwill towards men," before she just started slashing and burning everything with this axe. She would greet saloon owners with, "Hello, destroyers of men's souls." And Carrie didn't mess around. Carrie did not mess around. She was very, very, very firm in her belief that this was her mission. She was guided by God to carry this axe and to just destroy every possible establishment that she could. Bar owners weren't happy with her, not one bit.
They might have called her bipolar or told her she had a mental issue. I don't know.
But these saloons, they started everybody knew her. Everybody knew the 6 foot tall woman because she would come in dressed in solid black or solid white, wielding this axe. They started putting banners outside their establishments that said things like "All nations welcome here except Carrie." things like that. But yeah, she you talked about the axe, the merchandisers. So she started creating things to raise money, and one of them was a pewter pin that was shaped like a hatchet, and it would be carved with things that like "death to rum" and things of that nature. So yeah, Carrie meant it. She had this axe. She went into merchandising her mission. She started an anti-alcohol newspaper at some point. She was part of a stage play against alcohol. She became very, very heavily involved with speaking all over the country about the evils of alcohol. She was a figure. Everyone knew Carrie. Everybody knew Carrie Nation and her axe that was coming for the saloons. Yeah.
So if I don't know if you read this or not, but when we were in the museum, they said that she actually stopped going in and smashing up saloons because after she would go to them and smash them up, it would make them even more popular because their name would be in the newspaper everywhere because she went and broke it up. So the saloon owners were like begging for her to come and smash their saloon.
Yeah,
after
at some point it was like, yeah, sure, come on in.
This isn't working again.
This isn't what I'm trying to do. But yeah, I mean, that speaks to how firmly she was like, no, we're not. I'm completely against this. I talked about her being part of a stage play. At one point, there were plays that she was just attending in the audience. And if someone poured a drink on stage as part of the character, as part of the play, she would storm up on stage and break the glass that the actress had. She was adamant. This was evil, and it was her mission to remove as much of this evil from the world as she possibly could.
She'd be on a list these days.
She was completely unapologetic.
Can't do that. Crazy people.
And I mean, she did this to the end. In January of 1911, she was at a speaking engagement, and she was just giving her speech, talking. She paused and just said, "I have done what I can do," and she collapsed on stage. She was brought to a hospital. She was in a coma, and she never recovered. She died June 9th, 1911.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so to the end, Carrie had that mission, and she was going to do everything she could with it.
And then she was just like, you know what? I had a good run and just died.
Done. Good.
It makes you wonder if she knew she was sick before and like just was like, oh, this is the end today.
I mean, I feel like even if she knew that she was ill, that wasn't going to stop her.
Yeah.
At all.
What if she...
Now, so I have a question. If you're in a bar, you're in a saloon, you're in one of these places.
I couldn't imagine me in a bar, but go on.
and Carrie Nation storms in with her axe. You know that she's not going to harm you. You know that she's not there to do any damage to anything other than the bottles. Are you scared of this very intimidating woman barging in with an axe and yelling? Or
terrible question.
Or is it just like, Carrie's here.
Yo.
All right.
I'm going to tell you what. And the audience is not going to be surprised by this. You probably won't either. If Carrie Nation came in and, you know, she's just ready to throw down. She's ready to put it down. She's going to break everything anyway. I'm going to tell you that at that moment, I would go to the back of the bar as far away as I could. I'd drink as fast as I could, as much as I could. And then I would help her. I would jump in there and I'd be like, you know what? Let's do this together. Teamwork.
Wow. Yeah. You'd high five and...
Yeah, I'd get in there and
help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I want to have a good time too. Why do you think I came to the bar? Gosh. And now there's this giant lady that's just going to wreck everything and nobody's going to get in trouble? I'm in.
You're in.
Yeah, of course. All right, if you're going to come and hang out with me and have a good time in the back of the bar, you can let me know down in the comments. It's very important because I want to know what team you're on.
Are you terrified of Carrie Nation when she walks in, or is it just...
No.
Carrie's here.
5'10", 260 pounds. I'll knock her over.
I don't know, Scott.
I'm like...
I don't know.
Pumbaa in the savannah. Bowling for butter. Oh yeah, I'll take her right
now. Carrie Nation. She did so much good. She like I mean, you know, later on in life, she
ruined a lot of marriages by not letting the men get drunk.
She opened up a home for women who were escaping domestic abuse. She, like I mentioned earlier, she visited prison.
That's solid work. Thank you.
She did so much, but she is so known for her and that axe going in and just tearing it up.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm not getting
Carrie Nation.
I'm not getting banned today. So yeah, there was a lot of craziness that came out of that time of the Volstead Act there. It's so funny that the United States, like, I can't even understand how or why it happened because well, I know why, because looking at it through history, but like the fact that it actually went through, it still baffles me because this is not the kind of country that just it was born with alcohol. It's been a part of the country.
Yeah, but I mean, the country's had a very complicated relationship with alcohol since day
Yeah.
one. So I guess I know at some point they were pulling from that too. Like, well, look, since the 1600s, we've had horrible things where alcohol was involved, and they just built a case and built a case, and then in 1920.
They're just like,
But I mean,
dude,
it didn't work.
yeah, they didn't realize
You know?
what vacuum they were creating for the organized crime to come through, and then
Yeah,
cause
yeah.
all of this mayhem through the United States. On one hand, you know, it's part of history. It's what happened. And on the other, it's a lot of tragedies happened. But then we got a lot of very interesting history out of it, and
Oh
may I
yeah,
even say possibly some ghosts. Um,
absolutely,
you know, so
absolutely.
when you were doing your research, was there any kind of
Mhm.
like any kind of ghost stories that stood out? Was there anything that you could think of where you heard a paranormal story associated with bootlegging or speakeasies?
I mean, there's so much. There's so many. I can't think of any specific ones off the top of my head right now, but I mean, this was such a violent period of time. Like
Yeah,
we talk about, they wanted to ban alcohol because they thought it caused violence and that it caused all of these horrible things. But I mean, there was so much violence that came out of prohibition and that came out of the trying to repress this with
yeah,
people. It's just crazy, crazy. I mean, as crazy as some of these other things were that we talked about, cow shoes and torpedoes and all that, some of the craziest stories that you'll read are things that happened to people that were a little too involved in some of these things. What happened to them?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which I'm sure is something that you're running into a whole
Yes,
lot.
I'm
Yeah,
running into a lot of cool stuff actually. So
yeah.
Arrow was cool enough to appease me. So if you guys don't know, I'm putting out a video to be out on St. Patrick's Day. Should be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I put a collection of true stories together about Prohibition and gangsters, but not in a grand scheme of things. I don't know how to explain this. Basically, right where I'm sitting was the backyard of some of the most notorious gangsters on the East Coast. And that's not hyperbole. They literally lived right here in this town and would drive up and down the exact same streets that I work on and drive my family around on, shooting at each other, doing gangster stuff. Like it was crazy. It was mayhem here.
Yeah.
I
You
have
always
this.
think of like the Wild West, and it's
Yeah,
like
it's exactly, it was
it
like
was
that.
just, I mean, it wasn't
Yeah,
out in the desert. It was here
it
too.
was right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you for everybody who's hanging out with us, if you don't know where I'm located, I am on the Jersey Shore, and Sarah's not too far from me here in New Jersey, um, and we live on what's called the coast of New Jersey. People call the Jersey Shore, what have you. So, the name of the series is called "Welcome to the Violent Coast," a play on "Welcome to Asbury Park" and all the other things that we say here when we welcome to the shore. So that's why it's called that. So here I'm going to put this up here. So this is, we'll pause it. So if everybody can look where it says Atlantic Highlands, river routes, right about there. That's about right where we live, and that is some of the routes that they would take from New Jersey across the Bay to Manhattan and out on the Atlantic Ocean. That's where Rum Row was, where allegedly at some point they had at least 100 ships anchored off the coast of New Jersey, full of booze and parties and all kinds of crazy stuff. This is not something that I knew going into this. So this is going to be a part of what you're going to see. And then for fun, I thought I would show you guys something else that I was doing. So part of what I'm trying to do, and while you guys are watching this, you're going to have to forgive me. It's going to be very clumsy in the beginning because I'm just learning how to do this. But I think there's a time and a place for AI in the world in entertainment, and especially for somebody like myself who is trying to tell a big story without a ton of resources. So I'm going to show you guys
Move,
this.
you mug! Not without the goods! Stop it, boys! Oh no, not again! Oh, this is bad! Hide, hide!
So this scene is really funny because one of the stories that's going to be in the Violent Coast is a shootout between some gangsters. And what happened was, while one set of gangsters was trying to retreat, a train was in the way and they couldn't get out, and the guy who they were after, the target, got killed. So while I was telling that story, if you look even at the AI, my microphone is in there. And you guys see me wear the jacket all the time. So I wanted to put myself there and say, like, what would it be like if I was there? Now, AI made me fall over like an idiot, but you know what? To be honest with you, if there's a bunch of gangsters shooting and firing off guns, I probably would fall. I'm not a young man anymore. So watch. This is really funny.
Not
I
without the
love
goods.
it. These guys
Stop
are just
him,
like,
boys!
oh, come
Oh,
here.
no, not again. Oh, this is bad.
not
Hide,
again.
hide.
Can't wait for you guys to see that. This is such a cool thing to be doing. And Sarah was cool enough to come up with all these really fun Prohibition stories to help me lead into and help you guys get excited about what kind of cool stuff I'm going to talk about. And yes, there will be ghost hunting.
It's a lot of Prohibition ghosts.
Yeah. So I only have done about 10 minutes or so of the ghost hunting. This weekend, I'm going to go up to the one spot and stay up there probably for about an hour in the evening. But for the couple minutes that I was up there, it's like, it's a weird spot because the spot where it is, basically the mansion that was there doesn't exist anymore. But the land is there, and there's nothing built there. So I was standing in the woods, and the woods are in the middle of like a residential neighborhood. It's really strange. Any case, I'm standing there, and I'm doing a little bit of ghost tube vox, trying to see if I can elicit response from somebody or something out there. And I say something like, "Hey, do you want to talk to me about how you died?" And then it comes back and it says legal advice. And I was like, oh my God, it says need legal advice. That kind of made sense. And then I asked another question about them passing, and it talks about being shot. So I was like, all right, this is good. So that was just like the first time out there. And I can't wait to go back, and I'm going to bring a little bit of alcohol to help loosen their lips a little bit. They're gangsters.
Yeah. Don't bring an axe.
Would you? Oh no, I won't bring an axe.
Don't bring an axe. No, don't do that.
So all right, let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. You have a good time?
Of course.
I had a good time.
So many stories.
I hope everybody in the comments had a good story. If you haven't yet and you like this, this isn't always a live podcast. Sarah puts on a really wonderful show. It comes out on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. There's a bunch of them stacked up already. And also, this nice young lady is also an author. Sarah, where can people get your books?
Oh, this little thing right here, this little slice of magic. So, Hushed Up History, Volume 1, came out last year. It's 34 stories that are very similar to what I have on Signal Network and what I talk about. All crazy stories from all over the world, all across time, and it's available from Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any online bookseller. You can find it there. Hushed Up History.
Perfecto. And if you want to find me, I've been mostly hanging out on Facebook right now until I'm recovered and feeling better. So hang out with me on Facebook, Scott Davis, which I'm broadcasting on right now. You hang out with me on YouTube if you want to catch the Welcome to the Violent Coast series. First episode's going to be coming out March 17th, 8 p.m. I just put up a video a couple days ago where right before COVID hit, we investigated the Dublin House in Red Bank, New Jersey, which was a lot of fun. Sarah had a little cameo in that video, although she was there all day long with us hanging out. It was a lot of fun.
It was a good time. Dublin House is great.
It sure is. So I want to say thanks to Sarah again. Thank you to everybody who's hanging out with us. If you're hanging out with us here on Signal, Scott in the Medium, Scott Davis, wherever you're hanging out, thanks for chilling with us. We appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful night. And if we don't see you, have a wonderful weekend. All right.
Do we want to give a little hint as to what we're doing next week?
Oh, right. Yeah, go ahead. You can tell them.
So we're doing this next week. We're going live again. I believe again 9 p.m. And it's post Oscars. So instead of crazy Prohibition stories, we're going to take a look at some crazy Hollywood and Oscar stories.
Yes, Hollywood and Oscar
Yeah.
stories next week. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. Some of the stuff I've already found.
I'm going to AI myself into a tuxedo. It's going to be sweet. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Please
Thanks, everybody.
favor, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the share button. Thanks for chilling with us. And we will see you very soon.
Next week.
And peppermint.